So welcome, Gratuitous Platypus. We're so excited to have you here. For anyone that doesn't know, Gratuitous Platypus is an indie rock trio originally from Calgary, Alberta, moved to Edmonton, and they'll have some awesome insight for everyone today about being in the music industry, especially for young bands. So really excited to talk to them. Awesome. So yeah, the first thing I wanted to ask you guys was, how has the transition been moving from the scene in Calgary to the scene in Edmonton? What have been the major differences, and if you could speak to that?
It's been pretty nice. It was kind of slow at first. Like when we first moved up here, we were doing school. We all doing a bachelor's in music studies. But we met a ton of people through school that we started playing with. We played some like house concerts and made some friends, got to meet some other bands. It seems to be like a pretty vibrant scene. We started playing, and then like, COVID slowed down right as it picked up. But yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah.
There's lots of friendly people here. The genres are different. There's lots of like metal and harder stuff in Calgary. Here it feels like there's a lot more like indie or new wave kind of people playing. Yeah, lots more reverb than distortion on the scene here.
Edmonton is a reverb city, apparently.
Interesting. But the three of you guys grew up in Calgary, is that right?
High River. 40 minutes.
Oh, High River. I knew that. I did know that. Right, of course.
5 years when I went to middle school, but I was born in Calgary and then moved out to High River and then moved back to Calgary and then moved back out to High River.
Yeah.
So
We've been in and around Calgary for our whole lives.
Yeah, I gotcha. And so, you guys are attending Grant MacEwan, correct?
Yeah.
And are you in your, where are you at right now? Did you just finish your first year or your second year, or where are you at in the program?
We just finished our first year. After the first year, all the general music students get moved into their different majors. So George is in a production major coming into his second year, and Chris and I are doing performance.
Oh, I see. Cool.
Yeah.
I've had friends attend that program. Of course, it was many, many years ago, as I'm way older than you guys. Does the program take place at the main campus? It's all in. They don't have that satellite campus anymore, right? It's all that main campus.
it's Allard Hall. We actually the whole art program has a building now on the far. I think it's the north side of the school. And it's all arts and like construction and all that stuff and theater programs and music.
It's quite the building.
Yeah.
It looks like Sword Base from Halo, but it's full of like people drawing things and playing music.
Yeah, and the most unhelpful staircases imaginable.
But it's really cool. It's a great school. I'm loving it.
That's great. So I had some questions for you about school while we're on the subject, and I'm drawing from history with my friends who attended that program. Like I said, it was a long time ago, so I'm kind of curious to see as what it's like these days. Do you still kind of study all different genres of music and get like a little bit of experience in all of them? And okay, so on that note, can you guys take us over your year? Like, what do you guys study? How do you do it? Are there performances? Are you in combos? What's school like?
It's a lot of, we have so there's classes, there's performance ensemble where we get put into smaller combos with all of the people. And then there's musicology where we learn mostly about like music, like we do a lot of philosophy with music. But we also did a lot of playing and being put into combos there. And then for our principal instrument, which is the actual private lessons, we have to put together bands for our rep jury and put together combos and stuff like that.
When you're in those combos, what kind of music are you playing? Are you playing jazz or are you playing whatever you want?
We did lots this year.
Yeah, we had different units throughout the whole year. Like in our first semester, we covered just started with basic like blues stuff and moved into a more jazz focused, and then, or at least for guitar for me.
In performance though, we played a lot. Like we had a whole Beatles unit.
Yeah, but like in our private lessons for that went to our exams at the end of the year and stuff, we cycled through a bunch of genres. Like we did a funk unit in my guitar class. We did like then like blues and jazz and like
Latin and
yeah, all sorts
rock
of
and
yeah. And
especially
then in our big groups, like our performance ensembles, they had a Beatles unit and
Just a whole Motown unit. Too. That was
Motown
fun.
unit and
Cool.
jazz and
Tons of
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah, and we really got a lot of chances to do a
Tons of
wide
music.
variety of genres and play styles and playing different or not necessarily different instruments, but yeah.
That was one of the aspects I really always admired about that program. And I thought that, you know, the MacEwan program really actually gets musicians ready for the real world, especially if they want to be sidemen, if they're not in bands or anything like that, because then you get into the real world already having had a little bit of experience in the different genres, you know, that you might not have gotten if you hadn't attended that school. So I think it's I'm glad to hear that they're still making that happen. So have you noticed that because you've been forced to play these different genres, it's affected the writing within your own band?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been writing quite a bit. Like this quarantine's actually been kind of great for that because we were just locked inside right at the end of our school year with time to process and work on stuff. But I feel like there's tons of influence pulling in. There's like, you know, we're putting in Latin grooves and like more intricate harmonies, like jazz stuff and more things that are tied in from the stuff we were learning, which is kind of cool. It feels really fresh.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I understand that you guys are all living together. Do you have any advice, or what has that experience been like balancing your friendship and then obviously your band? Do you have advice for other young musicians doing this?
The best way to actually deal with the issue is you cannot hold things back. Is if there's something wrong, you say it.
Yeah.
And so basically we've been trying to be as open as we can with any issues. We haven't had a lot of really big issues. We've only had one where
There's
it
like
kind
the
of got a
dishes.
little like,
The
whoa.
Doing the dishes.
Dishes.
I heard
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, but basically the best advice I can give from what we've done is just we try to handle it as amicably as possible, and just like if you have an issue, say it so that we can, but say it in like a nice way. Don't be like, hey man, you're sucking at doing the dishes, right? Like do better, you know.
Yeah, you have to be diplomatic still, right?
Yeah,
Of course.
like, hey, I'd appreciate it if you did this, you know, and helped out a little more. So
It's
Mhm.
nice having one like area of the house that all of the like music is made. Like we definitely have a very specific place that is like the creative area. I mean, like there's instruments everywhere and we're always like everything happens all over the place, but it's nice having like a space to work that doesn't change and is separate from, because like while we're cleaning the rest of the house or while we're like living in our spaces, there's like the one area that is just purely
For playing music.
Yeah.
We converted the living room into just a jam space, PA, drums and amps, and that's it.
yeah.
Very cool. You guys are living a dream right now of like, you know, all being together, and that's
It hits me
It's
every
very-
once in a while. I'm like, wow, I'm so
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
you are for sure. Savor this time, man. That's cool. So have you been doing any streaming, or I assume you haven't been playing any shows since lockdown? What have you been up to? Just writing, or what have you been doing?
We've been writing quite a bit. We've done a few streams. We started a Twitch channel and built up our website so that we could do some streams. We actually just had our buddies, this band from High River. They're a bit younger than us, Mix Blame. We had them up on Friday and we did a lot.
I know those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. They're friendly. I taught their guitar player bass. And
cool.
their player has the same guitar teacher that George did in high school, and their drummer's my neighbor, so it's like super small town.
Who's your guitar teacher?
My guitar teacher during high school, I had a bunch of them, but through my later years of high school, when I decided that I wanted to go to music school, I took lessons from Jeff Graham.
Okay. Very cool.
He did a bunch of programs. He went out, I think, out east for like jazz and a bunch of stuff, and I learned a bunch there.
Yeah, we've been doing a bunch of streaming. The first couple streams we just did it with like a laptop sound.
It was like this. It was exactly this. It was like a FaceTime, but we just tilted the camera towards all our loudspeakers, and it sounded really bad.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
But we just recently got an audio interface, and we got like the mics and the stands and the cables and everything, and we got the headphone splitters and all that. So now we're doing some higher quality streams and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And with that too, we've been using that stuff. We're gonna start recording our new album with that equipment as well, because we've been writing a bunch. And now we've got like Pro Tools and interfaces and everything that we need to get started. So we're working with our producer Craig Carswell, and we've got him, and he's been giving us some pointers on stuff to do so that we can kind of lean into the DIY aspect a little bit more this time around.
Try and get in wherever we can, and we definitely want to record some of our album ourselves, and like be all over the place. I'm just really excited for all of the opportunities that we can take being out here to put together our first full-length album.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit now. I think 10 songs that are like really solid, and we want to do 13. We're going to re-record one of our old ones, and we've got 10 that are like solid, and then a couple more that are kind of in the works still, that we're bouncing around on. So
cool. So you guys are working on the album and recording some of it yourself at home. Or if not, did you learn how to record and use the interfaces and Pro Tools and stuff in school at all, or did you teach yourself?
George will be next year.
Yeah, coming up next year and in the subsequent years after. But for the right now, it's really just ourselves teaching ourselves and
watching YouTube videos and clicking a bunch of buttons and seeing what the fuck that does.
Getting advice from our producer, from Craig, and just having we have like lots of friends and everyone who know what's going on, and I'm not entirely uneducated on it. So we're just really excited to just get our hands messy and just dive right into it.
Yeah, really take that whole indie aspect into real life.
Right. That's awesome. I'd like to know a little bit more about how you guys started out. How did you guys meet each other and come up with your band name and sort of form?
Sounds good. Well, I've known George since I was maybe 6 or 7 through Cub Scouts.
And then we've known each other since kindergarten.
And then actually in like the 9th grade, my mom ran into George's mom at the grocery store, and they were like, "Hey, our kids play instruments. They should start a band." So then George came up to me at school and was like, "Hey, we should start a band." And we were trying some stuff with a couple of our other buddies from school, and we moved around a little and moved instruments. George was on drums.
I was a drummer for a little while. That's not something that you want.
No, it was pretty bad. So then we got Tristan on drums. I knew Tristan for quite some time, and he was playing guitar.
Yeah, I was living in Calgary at the time.
Move to High River.
It was like, move to High River and play drums in my band. And it's been we wanted to play in a band together since we met in like grade 5 in kindergarten when we were 5. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll come play with you guys. Let's do it. I'm not a drummer, but I'll learn an instrument. Let's do it.
Yeah, and then we started, and at first we wanted to we were bouncing band name ideas around, and we were the Undergrounds for about 2 days. And then we did a Google search and realized that
there's a million.
There's a million of them. There's so many.
Yeah.
So then we were like, we need something that nobody will have. George then pulled out his copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and he was like, I'm going to flip this open to a random page and point at a word, because this guy uses language, and we'll just use that word and something else. And I think it was gratuitous.
Yeah, the adjective was gratuitous. I was like, okay, now we need some sort of animal, because I love bands with animals in the name. Like, my favorite band is the Arctic Monkeys, and there's like Cage the Elephant and all these bands. I'm like, you need an animal. Or was it? I don't remember which one of you guys.
I can't remember who come up with platypus.
It was like platypus.
Platypus. And we were like,
yes. All right. Sounds like a plan. That's it. We're running with it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's a good origin story there.
I mean, it works nicely because I mean, whenever it's kind of funny whenever someone asks me what the band's called, like, oh, we're Gratuitous Platypus.
Smirk a little first.
Yeah, but it's
Gratuitous.
nice because whenever when we started playing in Calgary and started playing at some festivals and things, people would knew and wanted to see us because they had seen our name on the bill and thought, what on earth is that? Like, what sort of a band name is that?
Yeah.
The Platypus? We want to see the Platypus Kids. Hell yeah. Who the heck would name their band Gratuitous Platypus?
That's really cool. I remember hearing the name, of course, for right away. It sticks with you because it's it's so unique. So you guys did a good job there.
Right, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Can you take us through a little bit, just jumping back to school for a second, and because I think that a lot of young musicians be listening to this podcast that might be choosing to go to music school or to not. What sort of benefits did you get from going to school? What sort of things do you like about it? What sort of things don't you like about going to school? And would you recommend young musicians go that route?
I definitely recommend it. We might be a little biased, but I think it's been really great. I've noticed it's only been a year, right? There's 4 years and it just gets more intense each year. But in the first one, I already find myself, I'm more disciplined and a lot more knowledgeable on my instrument. I feel like now I truly speak through the instrument or through making music, where before it was kind of forced, right? It was I know where the dots are. I know what I want, so let's just do it. But now it feels really I know how to apply the theory and the knowledge and the tools they've given me to really build what you want.
Yeah, and it's the social aspect is a big thing. We've gotten to meet tons of bands and people who want to play music, and being introduced to different kinds of music that I've never heard of, or all of that. There's a huge aspect of it that I've gotten so much better because I taught myself everything from the ground up. I never had a teacher. And so getting into university and doing private lessons with a teacher was a massive step. And my playing has jumped ahead years because it forces you, especially wanting to get into the performance stream.
Yeah, they do.
It forces you to you have to practice for it's grueling amounts of time, and you have to be dedicated so much. And I feel so much better about just my playing and the choices I make when I play, and I just have so much more. I'm so much more tasteful, especially which is a big thing on drums. So
good for you. Just before you said that, I was going to say, good for you, man. That's really, really cool to hear that a self-taught musician, you got yourself to a level where you were accepted into that program. And I know that's not easy. So that's really cool to hear, man. Nice.
There's definitely, I'll just say quickly, for all aspects of it, there's definitely what I felt going into school was I have a very specific thing that I wanted to be able to do, and I was going in to learn how to produce and learning how to record and everything, and being in a general stream and being very instrument taught focused is really cool, because lots of other, especially for production and recording programs, they just kind of go, yeah, we'll teach you all of the computer software and everything, and they don't really care if you have an instrument that you're coming through this program with. But it's definitely a big focus at MacEwan. But I felt, at least for a little bit, because I wasn't as I really enjoy jazz and I really enjoy a lot of genres of music, but there was just a bit of time where I felt I wasn't sure why I was there, because it wasn't specifically what I was trying to work towards. But so that's definitely a thing to think about.
But that's just your first year.
The first year.
Yeah.
And then it goes in, and they only do that, they even said, too, because they want musicians that are recording things. They want people who are versed in music.
Yeah. It just is even if you're not doing specifically exactly what you went there to do,
it will come around.
It will come around. And as much as you have to keep telling yourself, because of like the work gets heavy and the work gets hard, and you're like, this isn't exactly what I want right now, but it really still, like, I mean, they know what they're doing and the teachers know what they're teaching you, and it like every little thing that you learn helps, even if it's not specifically what you're wanting exactly then, because it all comes, and there's obviously like steps to getting to where you want.
And the first year is meant to weed out those people who like aren't dedicated enough to be there. Like by the fourth year, there's like next to no musicians sometimes in the fourth year,
like
because
a tenth of the people.
Because
first year
people just can't make it through the whole program. Especially the first year is a major like hit to the ego, and like you're drowning in work
too,
and like
the strong survive.
Yeah, exactly.
So is it a degree? Is it a degree status program, or is it a diploma?
Bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to ask, you said you guys were in the middle of writing songs for your album, and I wanted to ask a little bit about your songwriting process. Has it changed over the course of your band, or how do you usually do things?
I think it's changed. It's more so just kind of evolved, not more so changed. It's grown.
Yeah,
that's a better word.
I don't know. Like the process hasn't changed. I don't find
it's become a lot more focused.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just better at the process, and so it doesn't take like it used to be. The process was like, here's an idea, here's the skeleton, let's jam on it for a while, right? And then we eventually find something. Whereas now it's kind of the same idea, where one of them will come with a skeleton of a song with the words and kind of a groove, right? And then we'll kind of jam on it, but we're much more intentional and be like, I'm kind of hearing this, or like, oh, what if I try this? Or what if I just change this part, right? And so the process didn't change. We just got better at the process.
And do you think that's a direct reflection of your time at Grant MacEwan?
100%.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time. They made us work with other musicians and like forced us to write songs in like a week with strangers, and it really didn't go well. It helped you learn how to like
even being better at saying what you want and being able to like say if there's something that isn't what you want without like feeling like you're gonna hurt someone's like ego or feelings or anything and that's just like we're a lot more open with what we want to hear, and with something that is happening on a track that we don't like, that we're say like I have brought an idea to the table and someone's doing something that isn't necessarily what I had in mind for the song. Yeah. It used to be like I used to beat around the bush a lot more, but now it's like, I like that, but not for this.
And there's a lot more of that, or like, and it does help when writing music to be able to say, oh, that transition doesn't work. Oh, this is weird. We need to fix that. I feel like this part goes on too long. Things like that really are what makes a song, changes it from good to great, is moving things around and really
the arrangement
and how you put things together.
Yeah, basically we just like let go of our egos, so it's easier to like try stuff and put things out there. And then if it's like, I like that, but like that's not quite what I'm hearing. What if you change this, right? We're all just like a lot better at like collaborating.
Mm-hmm.
Your communication with each other must be really, really great. And I admire that a lot. You've been working together, obviously, for a long time. What's some advice you would give to your younger selves? Like when you were, say, I don't know, when you were starting out or when you're in high school age, what advice would you give yourself?
I was just thinking that, not in that extent, but simplify it. For a long time, especially when we started, like we were listening to tons of really complicated and intricate music. Like there's some, like we wanted to do some like prog rock stuff, and then we just tried to do everything at once, right? You'd try and be like, hey, I need to write this whole song, or I need to be able to do all the things I want to do right now. When stepping back a little and using like writing a 3-chord song can actually be really beneficial, right? Like or even just simplify a one chord song. Like just step back and don't overwhelm yourself, right?
And like
triage.
A whole big thing too, especially for myself personally, I would have to just say, if there's something that you can't do yet or something just isn't working, if you like no matter what happens, just it will come eventually. Like I struggled so long with being able to write or have anything that I really felt proud of that I had brought from like a songwriting standpoint, but I really wanted to be able to do that. And it just took some time, and it's really just like, obviously, like, don't give up. That's the biggest.
Don't give up.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because everything will come with time.
For sure. I think that's what happens for a lot of young bands, especially, is when things slow down or when things aren't like, it feels like it's not what you want. That's usually when they fizzle out, right? When you're trying to write songs, but they aren't coming together.
Mhm.
Like you can't do that one thing you really wanted to do, or then there's like, you don't play a gig in a year, right? And things like that can kind of put you off to it.
When you feel like you're fizzling out.
Yeah, but it's not like that, right? Everything happens in its own time. And if you're making music with people that you enjoy making music with and doing things you like, then it doesn't matter. Just keep trying, and eventually people will recognize it or acknowledge.
Yeah. Another thing, like, yeah, or no.
That's cool. That's all. That's, yeah, well said.
Thank you.
I think that I assume that there must be some required listening in the program, and you've probably listened to some new artists that you weren't aware of before school, and probably some really obscure artists. What is some new music? I don't mean new like it was newly released. I mean, what are musicians, artists, composers that were new to you in the last couple of years that you never thought you'd be listening to that you could suggest to our listeners?
I'm so bad with names.
I really like Liana Lahavas. She's like kind of a modern contemporary jazz person. I also really fell in love with Latin music through my first year. So I was listening to like Yobim. Was
Antonio Carlos
Yobim. There's. I think I'll pass it off to George because you go for it.
I definitely, it not necessarily came from something that I was required to listen to being in school, but definitely like my mindset, the mindset that I kind of built from being at school led, I had this sound in my head that I could hear, but I didn't know what it was, and I hadn't been able to find anything. And I got really into, actually there was a while when I wasn't even listening to music because nothing sounded like what I wanted to hear. Like it was this thing. And then it's like I started talking to my professors, I started asking around, and I got a bunch of really great like advice, and I got a lot of great suggestions from my peers at school. And I got really into a lot of like the heavy, but in a different way. I got really into like noise rock stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I got really into this genre shoegaze, which is kind of like another step off that noise rock path. But artists like, I got really into the Jesus and Mary Chain, which is like a Scottish The Cure almost. Obviously, like, there's bands that lots of people know about, like Joy Division and The Cure and that kind of stuff. But that's been really my university sound that I've been really into. And this band called Spacemen 3, if they're super cool. Their stuff just got put on Spotify. They were around in the 80s, but there was no real way to listen to it. But like the other day, a bunch of their albums got put up on Spotify, and I've been really happy about that because it's really interesting. They'll sit on one chord for like 7 minutes, and like it's crazy. It just blows my mind.
What are they called again?
Spacemen 3.
Spacemen 3. Cool.
Yeah, they're but I never would have like found that stuff. I never would have gotten into that if it wasn't for like being at university and getting like I wanted more, like I wanted something new, and was hearing all this stuff that all my friends were getting into. I was like, I like that a lot, but it's not necessarily my scene, which kind of led to me finding all this new stuff that I really fell in love with. Yeah.
Did you guys, have you ever listened to much Fishbone? I was listening to you guys today, and I kind of like was reminded of Fishbone a little bit. Do you know that band?
I don't. I can't say I have. Fishbone.
Oh yeah, yeah. Check them out. Check them out. I think it's a band you guys would really dig.
All right, right on. Yeah, I'll check them out. Fishbone.
They're like ska funk punk from LA. They're really intense, and they're all over the place, and musically they're monsters, and they're just a super intense, crazy show. So check out Fishbone.
All right.
Thanks. I really like them. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what are your guys' goals? Where do you see the future of the band going? Is there certain venues you aspire to play, or certain things you want to achieve?
European tour.
That's a big goal. That's like to go and just, or even just to do a tour in general would be really great. Even if it's like in a dirty band following another band.
Yeah.
You know, like
It probably will be.
yeah, right. It's really great.
That's the dream.
Yeah, right.
To be in a dirty band following another band playing a tour.
Opening up tours.
I think
Rad.
Yeah, I think honestly, my end game like is just I want to be able to make a living off of this or music in general if we can keep this going, and it's like I'm teaching or whatever to pay rent still, but I just really like making music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I want to pay my bills.
Definitely the like big goal right now in our future is getting our album laid out and tracked and arranged in the way that we feel most exemplifies like kind of our collective mindset right now, and just the feelings that are happening in this time and everything.
Yeah.
And when things start opening up again, we're so excited to be able to play it for people.
Yes.
And
Jonesing for some gigs, man.
to get to Europe to play would be so cool.
Yeah.
Tears of joy.
That's cool. I'm sure it will happen. And when do you think you'll have the album done and maybe ready for a release?
We really don't have like a set in stone thing because it's a bit more DIY, but I think early 2021 winter would be a safe assumption for when things are starting to get closed up. Right? Maybe we don't have it 100% yet, but like early 2021, it wouldn't be later than that, I don't think.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like at the extreme latest, maybe the summer 2021.
Yeah, next year. It all depends on where we're going to. They have a really nice studio at the school that we were going to record in. It's a $2.5 million studio. It's just beautiful. Yeah. It's stunning. It's amazing. It's in the basement, and it's just like a dream come true. Yeah. But then, all this happened and it closed down. We had some time, like the week the school shut down, where we were going to start recording some stuff.
Oh, man.
And like 2 days before our weekend session, they closed the school down and people weren't allowed in there anymore.
Yeah.
So that one's kind of,
it's almost been kind of nice though, because that like when it closed, we took a step back and we're like, okay, what do we want from the album? What do we want it to be?
Yeah. And
how do we want it to feel? And that like led to all of a
bunch more songs, and like we had more set up. We were just gonna record a few tunes and do like another EP or something small, and then we can do way more than that. Mm-hmm. We've got all this time now, right?
We're all trapped inside together, so why not big together?
It seems like the best time. You might, for sure. Oh, that's very cool. I really look forward to hearing it, you guys.
Yeah, awesome. Jordy, is there anything else you were?
No, I think that I kind of asked everything that I kind of had in mind. We sure appreciate you guys taking the time to come and talk to us and help spread some of the knowledge.
Yeah. Where can our listeners find you?
Sorry?
Where can our listeners find you on social media? Any music you have out already?
Yeah, so we've got a couple EPs out on Spotify and Apple Music and like iTunes, all that stuff.
Pretty much anywhere.
Under Gratuitous Platypus. We put out 2 EPs during high school that are up. And then we've also got You can add us on Twitch.
We just put up our website.
Hey, there you go. That's right.
So everything is findable very easily on our website. Just simply gratuitousplatypus.com.
You can find our Instagram, our Facebook, our YouTube there, Spotify, all that
Link
stuff.
to our Twitch
where we
and
stream.
And the website will continue to be updated. Right now, it's just sort of a portal to all of our social media.
Yeah,
But-
we're gonna be putting updates up for the album on there as they come as well. Like there'll be more news and stuff like that.
Very cool. Well, we really look forward to the new album. Will you come back on the podcast after you've been through the process and tell us what it was like?
Whenever you guys want.
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. We're not doing anything, so definitely anytime you want.
That sounds great. Okay, well, thanks a lot for being here, you guys.
Of course,
Thanks
thank
for having
you
us.
guys.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah,
Sounds
you bet.
good.
Have a good one.